What's going on out there, YouTube? This is SEL0320. I'm back again for another movie review. Tonight, I actually went and I saw the brand new Marvel feature movie, The Wolverine. I'm gonna go ahead and start all off with it. So, off the gate, as far as with the movie and how the visual effects were for this one, comparison to the other ones, especially the last incarnation, which was Wolverine Origins. Um, to me, when I saw Origins, I looked at when he actually his claws came out, kind of the feel of the movie, the tone of it. This is just so different, y'all. There's no comic relief. There's no like, okay, something delicate is gonna happen, and it's just gonna be kind of cliche thing going on. The movie starts off in a whole different area, a whole different location that we've ever seen Wolverine before, and it's shot so beautifully, y'all. Like the cinematography for this is by far probably one of the best, if not the best, X-Men kind of franchise movie that they've actually shot. It just looks gorgeous. From scenes in America, from scenes in Japan, from scenes on different set locations, from different fight choreography, the way it looks and the tone of the movie is just shot so beautifully. If I could go and kind of compare it between like even X-Men X2, that was one of my favorite X-Men movies. With that one, that has such a serious tone to it, but at the same time, it kept the kids involved. It kept all the different character development, but at the same time, it was pretty serious in comparison to the first one. This one, just in the way that Wolverine has interacted with everything he has gone through between the wars, between the things he's gone through with the X-Men, between the death of Jean Grey at his own hands, it just shows the tone all over him. And even when there are certain scenes where I'm going to reveal later, where certain things happen to Wolverine, and he's in a fight, maybe you can tell the camera angle is just shifting with how his feel is. And so the cinematography is just amazing. The score for this, the whole feel and the theme for it, I'm not sure who did the score for this one. I have to investigate later. But the score was just such a subtle tone. There was such a delicate scene in the beginning of the movie where Wolverine's actually in the mountains and he's just got this haggard beard and something happens to Creature. And it's like this tone of everything just kind of went into standstill. It's like something is more to this character. Of course, we know him to be Wolverine, but if you have never seen any of the X Men movies and you went in looking at this, it would make you so much more intrigued with the character because this, in and of itself, kind of to me, it felt like a standalone movie. Even though it's not, it is what Origins should have been like to me. And it shows in the way the theme and the scores actually run throughout the whole entire movie. Even the action scenes, even the fight scenes, none of the scenes felt really corny to me. It all felt like it flowed perfectly with the storyline and how they actually developed it. So if I had to go off of cinematography and the score, I'd have to give that a 5 out of 5. I really enjoyed both standstills for that. I'm not necessarily going to say that it was the best because, all honesty, there's certain scores in even X-Men Last Stand. Even though I didn't necessarily, that was probably the weakest out of my opinion. The score for that was beautiful. But we'll go ahead and move on. So the next thing I'm actually going to go into is going to be about the actual acting level in this one. So of course, Hugh Jackman, he just won Academy Award for Les Mis, or was he nominated? I can't remember who I know. Either way, I know he was nominated, and he did such a beautiful job. He broke his body down for the role, and to come back from that bigger than he ever has been, like just in mass and muscle, it shows his dedication to the character. And so, because this is a really good storyline from the Marvel universe about his progression into Japan and coming from the things he's gone through. They did such a good job with it. But Wolverine, Hugh Jackman himself, he actually was waiting to do this. And so it shows in his acting in this one. It shows in the seriousness and the tone of this. It shows in the darkness of the character. he was able to explore his character and then make it his own. He's already done that, but he brought it into a whole other element that we've never seen Wolverine before, vulnerable. Like we've seen him emotionally vulnerable. We've never seen him physically vulnerable. We've never seen him debating his own life. Like he couldn't die before. What if he could? And so because of that, there's so many different meats and layers to the character. There's richness to it, and it just makes you fall in love with uh, his incarnation of Wolverine all over again. The different other actors who, I mean, I never really seen any of them in the other X-Men movies. They had a really good standalone themselves. The gentleman that starred in The Last Samurai, he did an amazing job. This kind of ominous character. Um, there's so many other characters which I do not know their names, but I will give you kind of character descriptions of them. There's one character that finds Wolverine in the mountains, brings him back to Japan for a set reason, and she sticks with him. She calls herself his bodyguard. And Yoriko, I can't remember how to pronounce her name, but she does a really good job of a character that's unexplored, meaning you can't peg who she really is, but you can tell there's a sincerity about her, and there's a code of ethics and honor that she has for Wolverine just off the get go. There's another character that doesn't put up with Wolverine at all. She actually does a really good job. She's actually very attractive, but their first interaction between her and him is as though Wolverine's trying to protect her. He's trying to keep her safe. He's trying to help her, and she doesn't want to hear anything about it. She's just so sarcastic with him, and it's exactly what he needs. And those are kind of the best kind of relationships. The way that they actually build it is it's really good character progression between her and Hugh Jackman's character. It's really simply made. Believe it or not, Jean Grey makes a performance in this one. Mrs. Rourke comes back, and she's in it a lot more than I thought she was gonna be. And she actually brings a whole other level to the character. I mean, it's like with Wolverine's character, he's haunted by what you've seen in the trailer, so I'm not really spoiling anything. He's haunted by the effects of what happened with Jean. He's haunted by the fact that he killed the love of his life. He can't live with himself. He's already had issues before with dreams of war and his parents and all these different kind of things, but that it just struck a nerve with him, and so he keeps on seeing these different visions of different times of just Jean there, and it's like such a haunting kind of feeling, but it's real, you know. It makes you believe as though okay, if there was a person that had an ability such as him, a person that went through the things that he's gone through, as far as with adamantium being grafted through his whole entire body, and just the pain that he's experienced, it's really real, and it's a richness to the story, and it never goes across to me like kind of a comic bookish movie to me. The only time that I'll say that is at a later time, and I'll explain that later. So for me, I thought the acting was better than most of the other times it's been. I can't think of any other one that was more well acted than this one. To be very honest with you. So the acting in this one, I'd have to give it a 4, maybe a 3.5 out of 5. It was like I said, it's one of the best acted ones to me. As far as the story, I'm gonna have to actually put a spoiler section in this video. I'll go in more detail later. Um, but for me, I love the story. I thought the story development was just such a different spin on it, but it was such an homage to um, Wolverine's first encounter going into Japan, coming from everything he's been through. And it was one of my favorite stories as well. But they made it so believable because with Wolverine coming from where he came from, years after the events, and when he's like at his worst at this point, he still is trying to find ways of protecting people and finding justice. But why would you do that when you're a type of person that at this point wants to die and can't? And so that brings into another character that is saying, okay, if you want to die, I can help you. You blessed me with this gift, I'm gonna help you with that one. And it's just so many different other layers to the story because you bring in characters that are not necessarily a part of the Marvel universe, and you put Wolverine in it, and for some reason, even though you see Wolverine like in Japan and he's maybe attending a funeral, for some reason he fits into it, but doesn't. I mean, it stands out, but it's like, okay, this is kind of a believable kind of thing. And I just really love the story. But I can't go into the story without ruining anything. So to me, I give the story out of all the other ones, I actually give the story a 5 out of 5 because I really enjoyed the story. There was so many different things that he went through, so many different fights, so many different levels of danger that I've never seen Wolverine being put into, that this one shows all of them. So at this point, I'm going to go through my spoiler section. If you have not seen the movie, if you do not want to be spoiled and you don't want to know anything about it, please stop now. Don't look at any further. I'm giving you forewarning. Don't listen to me. Knock it out. All right, getting into the movie. I'm trying to make this quick because I'm going to go to an in-depth one. In the beginning of the whole entire movie, Wolverine is, like I said before, he is devastated from what him killing Jean, and he left the X-Men. He's kind of made himself to be just this kind of hermit, and he's in the mountain. He's got this big beard, and I the first scene that I saw was really with him and another. It was a creature in the woods with him. It was a bear. Bear's huge, massive, and he sees these hunters when he's going into town because he was listening to his radio. After seeing this vision of just Gene popping up, and he's like, "I'll never hurt anybody again. I made a vow I will never kill or hurt anyone ever again. I can't do it." And she's like, "It's too late." Like, and then it shows just looking at her, like all the blood just coming out. He wakes up, but he wakes up and he's trying to get his radio back on, so he had to go into town. He realized these hunters are trying to take out this bear, and he at first he leaves it alone. Then he goes back and hears like somebody getting killed or something, and sure enough, some people were getting killed. And come to find out, the bear had gotten knocked down, and looked at the bear. And this is such a big theme of the movie, to be honest with you. And the bear is sitting there, he's looking at Wolverine, and Wolverine tries to pull the arrow out. Bear tries to swipe at him, and Wolverine realizes then and there that the bear wants to die. Like, as big and as powerful as it is, it doesn't want to be helped at this point. It wants to be taken out of his misery. He can relate, and he didn't want to kill him, but he knew that was his job at that moment. That brought him back to memories and flashbacks of everything, and so he goes back and deals justice with the folks that did that to the bear, because actually 5 other people were a casualty of them tampering with this bear, and that's where he'd get brought into another character, which was Mariko or whatever her name was, that was his bodyguard that I was telling y'all about before, and she says to him, "Look, I've been looking for you for a year. You need to come back because the person that she's working for, her employer, a long time ago, Wolverine helped him, saved his life from a huge nuclear explosion that was actually going on." And that brings about all the different steps to, okay, what happens next after this point? What are the effects from helping saving somebody, you know? And it just goes in so many different levels. With the fight scenes, there's a certain point where the gentleman that he had helped a long time ago presents to him like an option that, okay, I can bring you your mortality back, but it's going to come at a price. And I mean, you can live a long, live a life, but you're going to be dead. And he was like, I want to live. I'm about to die. This is my gift to you. Um, so it's going to have to be a trade. And it was so crazy because after that point, at the point where something happens and Wolverine is at this funeral and he gets shot, and he realizes something has happened to him. And as he's fighting, he's just so disoriented. He's in so much pain, and he's never had to go through this before. And even though he's fighting, and to me, like, I think about when an animal is cornered and when they're hurt, that's when they're most unpredictable. That's when they're most dangerous. And to me, like, I've seen like X-Men Origins, I've seen X2. He is ferocious in this. There are scenes where he is going at people and he is not holding back whatsoever because he's in so much pain. Like, he's fighting to survive. There's a bullet train scene where he's on top of a train and these guys are trying to kill him. He gets stabbed, he gets hurt, he gets shot, but he is not holding back. And I think there's a point where he finally gets to a stopping point, and he's about to pass out because he's lost so much blood, and he finally passes out. He comes to, and the girl that he's been trying to protect this whole entire time, she asks him, like, "Are you okay? Is everything all right?" He says, "I'm just not used to this." And she's like, "So what? You're not used to having help?" And what he was talking about, he wasn't used to getting injured. He wasn't used to that. But at the same time, if you can never get hurt, you never need anybody to have your back. There's not an X-Men up there that he would really need, in all honesty, to keep him safe. But because he's vulnerable now, he needed her. He needed other people. And it goes back to where I was saying before that he didn't want to live anymore. To have vulnerability like he was having, it made him self-evaluate. Okay, if I need somebody, then is it possible for me to want love again? Is it possible for me to have something to hold on to again? And ultimately, for me, the end of the movie, at the end of the day, I'll go more into the spoilers later, but he found his way and found something to focus on, that I have something to live for. I have a purpose. I have a set goal. It's not just a curse. It's a privilege and it's a curse. But I have something that I can fight for. I have something that I do want to live for. And I think when you lose everything and you have nothing and you are about to die, like, it makes you self-evaluate yourself. And he needed that. I mean, it was like all things happen for a reason, but for him in this movie and the way they did the storyline, that brought into full circle. Like, because he went through this casualty of losing his ability to heal and being vulnerable, that brought him back to, okay, I know now that yes, I do want to die, but there is something else I can change about myself to want to need again, to want to love again, to want to fight again. And he does that, and it shows so well. One big thing, man, I wish I would have talked about it before. Stay until after the credits. Please stay until after the credits. Um, you, I can't spoil it even in the spoiler section, but there are two characters that show up from the X-Men universe that you will not want to miss. Please stay until after the characters, okay? Anyway, I just really enjoyed this movie. I have to give the movie at least a 3.5 out of 5. So one of my most enjoyable movies probably this year. I will talk about it more later. Right now I need to go to sleep because it's 1:18 at night. But this is SEL0320 signing out. Y'all have a blessed night. Go check out the Wolverines. Good movie. Later, y'all.